And you also do some interesting, I guess, cinematic techniques in the book, chapter to chapter, kind of moving it along. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. One of the meanings of the title comes from jump cuts in film, and it's patterned after that thing you see more often in film, but you really haven't seen in crime fiction, which is you might be closing a scene with two people, say they're having dinner, and somebody says, oh, this is really, really good. And then you jump cut to another scene where two different people in a different situation are looking at a dead body in a trunk, and somebody says, this is really, really bad. And it's somehow the same unbroken dialogue as you shift around visually. And the way this book works, even though it's broken into about 50 chapters, it's really one big unbroken narrative. So as you move from the point of view of each suspect, and as they interact and get to know each other, the end of each chapter leads seamlessly into the next. So somebody might say something, something might happen, and whatever language you land on, that's what opens the next chapter. So it's really one big unbroken narrative. And part of that was to bring the relationships closer and to show how all of this was happening in real time. The book takes place in a very short time frame. And it was also just to accelerate the reading process, because I wanted this to be a very quick read. I wanted it to be unapologetically entertaining, and it was really designed to just be a fun ride.
Between what happens with the language and the cinematic techniques and the actual whodunit with the 10 characters, it was a great ride. Yeah. And I guess the other meaning of jump is what happens to the landlord.
Yeah. There's the book actually opens with 4 different definitions of jump, and one very much alludes to this scenario of did he jump or was he encouraged to jump off that building. And the other thought is this idea of jumping to conclusions, because there's a lot of red herrings in this book. I think back to the classic sort of Christie whodunit model. I wanted everybody truly to be a suspect and everybody to have a motive, and just along the way have the reader change their mind quite a bit as you're reading the book. And I confess, as the writer, I changed my mind quite a bit over the course of the book in terms of who really was going to turn out to be the bad guy.
So there's a whole list of suspects, and maybe we can get you to read a little bit from the opening of Jump, where the
sure. This is
gets it.
This would be the triggering event in Jump, and yeah, this is what sets everything in motion. So, Jump, Chapter 1. The scream tore through the building like a pregnant nun on her way to confession. It bounced off the walls, rattled the windows, and woke up everyone in the neighborhood. Ed Lowry plummeted 100 feet before he made any noise. The fire escape on the 20th floor was 200 feet off the ground, so accelerating at 32 feet per second squared, he was falling at nearly 40 miles an hour and covered half the distance to the ground before he grasped the real gravity of a situation. It was probably the sight of the penguin that jolted him back to reality and knocked some air back into his lungs. The penguin was a sculpture rising up from a fountain that sat dead center inside the main courtyard of Golden Towers apartments. Baby penguins nestled on either side of the mommy penguin, who had her head back, beak pointed triumphantly towards the heavens, a soaring symbol of the strength and nobility of motherhood, carved lovingly in marble and bronze. It was conical, shiny, and sharp as a mother's tongue. Ed realized he wasn't merely going to hit the driveway, which was bad enough, but was headed straight for the penguins. He let loose a scream that could wake the dead, though it didn't stop Ed from joining their ranks. He twisted in midair and struck the penguin back first with a sickening wet noise that one witness described as the sound of a whale being dropped from a skyscraper. Ed didn't look much like a whale when it was all said and done, but he was skewered like a fish by the upraised beak of the penguin. Blood flowed down the marble body of the mother, pooling at the feet of her young, turning the water of the fountain a deep wine red. Sam McGowan was on the 20th floor when it happened, so he wasn't too surprised the cops wanted to talk to him. After all, he'd been a cop himself. He'd worried that he would miss the job when he retired, but so far life as a civilian was full of surprises, like your landlord taking a header off the top floor of your building. It was Sam's first day of retirement, and already they wanted him back on the job.
All right, that's great.